totally just scared me. Yeah.
One of the lovely dears, loved Johnny in a couple.
Thank you, Mrs. Franklin. All right, so this is our Chapter 5 test review, test summary. All right, so the first thing we did in Chapter 5 is this was from 5.1. All right, the first thing we did is we were changing between decimals and fractions. All right, so we're changing between decimals and fractions. All right, the big thing here that was new to you guys, or I think is new to you guys, is change a repeating decimal to a fraction. You definitely are going to have one of those on your test. And there's a process that goes with that. All right, if we are comparing numbers, they all must be in the same form. If you're comparing numbers, they all have to be in the same form. Either all fractions with same denominator, or all decimals. So when you're comparing numbers, they have to be in the same form. Okay. We dove into 5.2 and 5.3. All right, in these two sections, we were adding fractions. All right, these were adding and subtracting fractions. So we were adding and subtracting fractions in both of these. One of them was when we had like denominators, and the other is when we had unlike denominators. All right, but to add and subtract them, you have to have a common denominator. All right, the other big thing here is you have to leave mixed numbers as mixed numbers. That's just me. That's not technically you don't. You could change them into improper fractions. All right, but for me, you have to leave mixed numbers as mixed numbers when you're adding or subtracting. Leave mixed numbers as mixed numbers. All right, I would look for a story problem here. So I would definitely advise that you go back into one of those two sections, probably the one with unlike denominators. I would focus on that one the most, and do some story problems from that. Because you know I'm not giving you fractions with the same denominator. I'm just not going to. Right? I'm going to make you do them with unlike denominators. So focus on 5.3. All right, focus on 5.3. You are going to have to write game plans, etc. All right, don't forget game plans. Okay. The next section we had was 5.4. All right, in 5.4, we were multiplying fractions. All right, so I'm going to kind of put these two together. So 5.4 slash 5.5. All right, this was multiplying and dividing fractions. All right, let's remember, you don't need a common denominator. I'm hoping that you're like, duh, but I want to make sure that I say that because that's extra work that you don't need to do. All right, when we are, mixed numbers must be changed in improper fractions. So mixed numbers must be changed into improper fractions. You should have a pencil in math. We take all notes and pencils. Thank you. All right, and we talk about division. We always change to multiplying by the reciprocal. Rather than dividing by a fraction. All right, again, you're going to see story problems here. You're definitely having one addition story problem. You're definitely having one multiplication story problem. I'm just telling you. So please make sure you understand that. You're definitely having an addition or subtraction story problem, most likely with mixed numbers. You're definitely having a story problem for multiplication, most likely with mixed numbers. All right, so I would focus on those for story problems. Okay. Moving on to 5.6. This kind of goes with 5.5. So this is when we are solving equations when the coefficient is a fraction. All right, so an example of that might be 3/4 times x is equal to 12. So you are not going to divide by 3/4. What are we going to do instead? AJ? Absolutely. We're going to multiply by the reciprocal of 3/4. So instead of dividing by 3/4, you're going to multiply by the reciprocal of 3/4. So let's just do that real quick so you can remember what that is. So AJ is exactly right. We're going to multiply both sides by 4/3 and then simplify. All right, that's 5.6. 5.7 is when we have, we dove into inequalities with 5.7. Who needs to see what's up there? Are you cool? Awesome. So 5.7 was our last section. This is when we had equations and inequalities with fractions and decimals. All right, here we focused more on two-step equations. Like 1/2 x plus 2/3 equals 3. All right, what I want you is making sure that you're doing is you need to make sure that you understand how to clear fractions. Because I may give you a problem that says using clearing fractions, solve this. All right, another example might be 0.34x plus 1.5 is equal to 2.7. All right, and here you're going to clear decimals. All right, could definitely get a story problem here. Now, probably what I'm going to end up doing is for your multiplication story problem, I'm probably just going to take it out of 5.6 because it will have fractions in it. You know what I mean? All right. So you might only have one multiplication. It might be one like this. So just take a look at those three sections for story problems. The addition of fractions, the multiplication of fractions, and then 5.7, I would focus on story problems from those three sections when you're kind of practicing those story problems, okay? Questions on anything that's going to be on the test? Okay, so we have a half hour. All right, so what I'm going to allow you to do is I'm going to allow you guys to work on your chapter reviews. So, if you have a book in your locker, go get it. If you don't, we'll figure out